Alright, first of all, I apologize for the fan in the background. It's really, really hot in here, so I'm gonna keep that on for this. I was gonna do this on the board, my whiteboard, but I've chosen not to because it would be a lot of things to write, and I feel like I'll do a separate video talking about just Husserl's phenomenological concept of evidence. But in this video, I want to just do basically a video about the first meditation of Edmund Husserl's Cartesian Meditations. I mean, it isn't really like the philosophy community needs another video about Husserl's Cartesian Meditations, because Chad African has videos on it. However, I feel like it would be helpful to me, at least if I did that, because I do these videos for the purposes of my own benefit, to learn things from you, and also if in the process somebody learns something from me, then that's awesome. I would hope that would occur, but I wouldn't expect it or require that. So, first of all, what this is about is it's mostly a kind of something following Descartes, but it's structured in Meditations 5, but not 6 like Descartes. Structured in Meditations, just like Descartes' Meditations on first philosophy. So it's kind of pretty interesting as to how this book does go around. I've read the whole thing. However, in this video, I kind of just want to talk about the first meditation and what I find to be important. The notes I've taken after this. I probably read this about last month, and I have my notes. I mean, I've read the book probably twice, but let's go on. In the third section, basically, it's talking about what is called the Cartesian overthrow, and it's, if you recall, in Descartes' first meditation, he's doubting everything, and he's kind of talking about how he should kind of remove all of his beliefs and start over. It's kind of an overthrow in that he's trying to doubt everything and figure out what he can't doubt. In the second meditation, he starts coming to things that he can't doubt. One of those things being his own existence. So, the overthrow in Husserl's writing is talking about overthrowing the absolute. It's overthrowing our previous structure of science. So, the natural attitude, first off, is something that you can read about that in his Ideas. His book called The Ideas, which is very, very important. What that is, it's philosophy and science talking about whether things we see are mind-dependent or mind-independent, thus realism, idealism, nominalism, all these different metaphysical kind of theory things. But the epoche, or the bracketing, or the parenthesizing, or the reductions of Husserl, basically that's saying that we are not going to study that way anymore. We are going to study in phenomenology. We're going to study just the things we see, what is given to us, and that's it. And study things via essences or ida. Also via noesis, noma, and hyla, stuff like that, and just doing it, studying it in this new way where we aren't really presupposing anything that we don't know for sure, or presupposing things that we can't, I guess, know by having experiences, because we can't really know realism by having a experience. So that's kind of what this is about. The natural attitude is just that. The natural attitude is studying things and trying to figure out whether things are mind dependent or mind independent, and Husserl in his phenomenology is against that. So in section 3, he talks about establishing a radically genuine science, removing any science we already have at our disposal. So we are gonna, the previous one that we've had, now this is very lining up with Descartes, but he's doing it in more of his, talking about the taking out the natural attitude and kind of having a genuine science. The previous science of the natural attitude that we had before, we're taking that out and we're going to establish a genuine science. So it's a Cartesian overthrow of science itself. A science of the natural attitude is not something that is not something that Husserl wants. So he wants to establish a genuine science and actualize it, put it into practice. Okay, section 4. Talking about uncovering the final sense of science by becoming immersed in science, qua nomadic phenomenon. So there are objectively documented theoretical structures documented in the science. That is the science of the natural attitude. Okay, it's objectively documented theoretical structures documented as the science. Doing science that way is the natural attitude. So we don't want a science that is valid with respect to defective sciences, but a very genuine science. He uses this term quite a bit here. Immersing ourselves in scientific striving for genuine science. So here we come to the term of evidence. I'm going to read on page 10 here. If we go farther in this manner, here naturally we are only indicating the procedure. Then in explaining more precisely the sense of a grounding or that of a cognition, we come forthwith to the idea of evidence. In a genuine grounding, judgments show themselves as correct, as agreeing. That is to say, the grounding is an agreement of the judgment with the judged state of affairs. More precisely stated, judging is meaning, and as a rule, merely supposing that such and such exists and has such and such determinations. The judgment, what is judged, is then merely supposed affair or complex or complex of affairs, an affair or state of affairs, as what is meant. So evidence is kind of having an experience of something that is agreeing, or it's judgments showing themselves to be correct or agreeing. So it's not evidence in the sense of the natural attitude or an objective kind of, we have evidence for God or evidence for for a certain previously thought extinct animal still existing. It's not really like that. It's having a judgment and having that judgment show as agreeing. Now the word agreeing makes me think of a coherentist epistemology, but that isn't what it is. Judging is meaning, having a judicative such and such. Scientist judges and grounds his judgments. Okay. Section 5. Evidence and the idea of genuine science. So evidence is an experiencing of something that is. So that's, here we kind of I think when I first read this two years ago, I kind of almost thought of that as Heideggerian. Like this book here, it makes me think of this. Experiencing of something that is, thus being. Now, I think Heidegger was very influenced by Husserl, so that very well could be a part of that. But a mental seeing of something itself, truth, meaning, in a genuine science that arises from this. a verification of a new kind, not in the logical positivist kind of verification, but verification in this phenomenological term of evidence. So hopefully you can kind of see how this relates to phenomenology and Husserl's kind of his kind of phenomenological philosophy, and how this kind of term of evidence is kind of moving towards, is kind of a part of this genuine science, and is different from this natural attitude. And Husserl also says in section 5 that Descartes did the Meditations wrong. He did a universal overthrow and prevented logic from being accepted. So it's very, very interesting stuff. Now, my little video that I have here, which is kind of getting a little long, isn't really going to do any of this justice. I think if you want to know about this, it's good to read this. I think it's very, very, very interesting. Now, hopefully, I'll end up doing a video for each meditation, which means I have 5 videos in all. So hopefully that'll work out for me. Section 6, there's absolute certainty, or absolute indubitability, or apodicticity. And so he's talking about differentiations of evidence. Now, what does it mean for something to be apodictic? This perfection is apodicticity. Though this idea continuously guides the scientist's intent, a different perfection of evidence has for him a higher dignity. This perfection is apodicticity, and it can occur even in evidences that are inadequate. It is absolute indubitability in a quite definite and peculiar sense. The absolute indubitability that the scientist demands of all principles, and its superior value is evinced in his endeavor, where groundings already evident in and by themselves are concerned, to ground them further and at a higher level by going back to principles, and thereby to obtain for them the highest dignity, that of apodicticity. The fundamental nature of apodicticity can be characterized thus. Interesting. So he's talking about kind of different things, and in section 7 he talking about the factual existence of the world is not apodictic. It's not really in that apodictic way of evidence. Heidegger also uses that word, which is also it's also kind of interesting to read Husserl and Heidegger and see how they kind of relate, and how Heidegger was kind of influenced. What year was this published? I remember. I forget. Let's look. I know it was before 1960. I know that. Ego cogito, the transcendental subjectivity, the ultimate apodictic basis for judgments. Not world existing for us, or not the world we accept. World simply claims being. So that's another one there. That's section 8, which is pretty interesting as well. So the ego cogito, the ego, this transcendental ego that Husserl does develop. It does kind of come as the world that is for this ego, is the world that claims being. And this kind of whole thing, this evidence of this genuine science, is kind of the way to, I guess, have some kind of knowledge of it, if in some kind of phenomenological sense. So that's kind of my little breakdown of it. If you think I've messed something up, or I left something out, please comment below. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you have a question, please also comment below. Thank you.